Hello everyone, welcome to Apoptosis series. This is episode 4. I am Dr. Kalpana Rakholia and today we are going to discuss about overview of apoptosis process. In last lecture we discussed introduction of apoptosis, then history of apoptosis, and we also discussed the difference between apoptosis and necrosis. So before we go inside in detail intrinsic pathway and external pathway, so we just today in this episode we discuss how apoptosis process overview are going on. Later on in next lecture we discuss about the in detail. So let's start. Apoptosis process are start from the signal. And these signals are comes from inside the cell, then we are called as the internal stimuli. If the signal comes from the outside of the cell, then we called as a external stimuli, right? So in these are the several reasons they are send the signal. They are comes from inside the cell. For example, if DNA damage occur in the cell, reactive oxygen species are generated into the cell. Hypoxia, it means lower oxygen level. Endoplasmic reticulum stress is occur, and several growth factor are going to down or withdraw. At that time internal stimuli release from the cell. Same way, external stimuli it's also initiate the apoptosis process. So these may are the FasL gain, tumor necrosis factor alpha, trail, cytotoxic T cell, as well as natural killer cells are involved to initiate the apoptosis process. How these are molecules are involved in detail, we discuss in a detail in next episode. So these are the we already discussed. These are the initiator of the apoptosis, and apoptosis process will occur. Uh, let's discuss about the overview of intrinsic pathway. Intrinsic pathway are also called as a mitochondrial pathway because in this pathway these are the main key organelles which are involved in this apoptosis pathway. So these are the mitochondria. In When we say are that these are the triggers or initiator of the apoptosis pathway, we already discussed in that. DNA damage, reactive oxygen species. One of the several reasons are there. They are responsible to initiate the apoptosis process. Then this signal are passed into the mitochondria. This mitochondria are permeabilize their membrane and release the cytochrome C. Cytochrome C that will form the apoptosome. That how it this event will be occur, that we discuss in detail later on. Then here caspase 9 is involved. After caspase activation, it activate the executor caspase like 367, and later on apoptosis process will be occur. So these are the intrinsic pathway overview. Then talk about the extrinsic pathway. These are also called as a death receptor pathway, in which these are the trigger molecule we already discussed that are responsible for the extrinsic pathway. Here you can see that in a intrinsic pathway there is a mitochondria is involved, while in case of the extrinsic pathway there is a cell membrane is involved. So this ligand is bind to the death receptor present on the cell membrane. That receptor are going to change trimerize, that bind with FADD, procaspase 8. They involved in intrinsic pathway. There is a caspase 9 is involved. In case of extrinsic pathway, caspase 8 is involved. So activation of caspase 8, and after caspase 8 is activated, it execute the activation of executor caspase like 3, 6, 7, and ultimately cell will going to die. So this is the extrinsic pathway. So let's come together and we discuss about overview of apoptosis pathway, whether it is a external pathway or internal pathway, how whole process is going to occur. So apoptic, these are the stimuli, whether it is the internal stimuli or external stimuli, we send the signal to the cell. Cell will recognize that signal. According to that, it will activate whether is the external stimuli or internal stimuli. According to that, it pathway is run. If internal stimuli activate the internal pathway, if external stimuli are there, it activate the extrinsic pathway. both pathway are going to activate, and that pathway, if one of them it activate caspase 8 and one is activate the caspase 9, both pathway ultimately goes to initiated caspase activation. So in which this caspase activate the executor caspase. This executor caspase are 367. So whether it is the intrinsic pathway or extrinsic pathway run, ultimately both pathway are go together, which will perform the executioner activation of the caspase like 367. It activate the cell dismantling, in which DNA fragmentation occur, chromatin condensation, membrane blebbing, cytoskeleton breakdown, and organelles degradation occur. And this it converted into small apoptic body. This apoptic body is engulfed by phagocytosis process by macrophage, and ultimately no inflammation is occur. This is a silent, clean, and controlled cell death. So we can say that apoptosis is a program energy dependent process, and that maintain tissue homeostasis without causing any inflammation. Thank you very much for listening this episode.